Y'all think that's fair?
If I had the discretion, it would not be my sin.
Welcome back to 806 Driver. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been with us for a while, y'all, welcome back. Today, we just pulled into Slayton, Texas. We're about to load up some fertilizer. Taking a break from the cotton gin today. Got the walking floor put up, and we are underneath the tanker. Get a little change of pace for today. Today we're going to talk about a truck driver out there in Colorado that just got sentenced to 110 years for not using a runaway ramp, not ditching his truck, yet just coasting down the side of the mountain, coming down I-70 into Denver. Talk a little bit about my thoughts. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of stuff that I've heard on YouTube, I've read in some news articles. A lot of, there's some conflicting stories that don't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I got to get around here and get hooked up and loaded right quick, and we'll be back. Do you believe there should be some formal training involved before you go do mountain driving? Do you believe there should be an endorsement required before you do some mountain driving? Do you believe a company should be held responsible for a driver's inexperience and having an accident? Should they be held liable? That non-mountain driving states that issue CDLs should have mandatory mountain training. As of February 2022, the FMCSA has new guidelines into obtaining your CDL with required training. We're not going to go over that right now. You can go to the FMCSA's website and look at the details on that. And I think it is going to make getting your CDL a little tougher, which I believe is what should happen. I put on my beanie, y'all. Shout out to TXLARGECARBOYZ. Support, link in the description. Check them out. Yeah, so I think that's going to help a little bit as far as not just letting any warm body drive a truck. Common sense seems to be a thing of the past. We've been inundated with the coddling of our society in the last 10 to 15 years to the point that nobody can think for themselves anymore, especially the younger generation, for the most part. Now, there are some kids that can handle business and can do what they need to do. But with that being said, that's why we're seeing things like this, you know, happen on a more regular basis. Do I agree with the prison sentence? Yes, I do. Do I agree with the length of the prison sentence? No, I don't. I believe it's a bit excessive, and I believe the company should be held liable as well. So, with all that being said, guys, I do believe the sentence was a little bit harsh. Due to, and this is what I have read and what I have heard. So I wouldn't take anything that I'm saying here as factual. This is just what I have heard and what I have gathered off the internet, off of YouTube, and some of the people we all listen to. Apparently there's some new rule in Colorado, new law, that each one of the charges the young man had on him had to be charged separately and sentenced separately. That being the case, let's just say, and that the charges, the sentencing and the charges could not run concurrent. In other words, if you had 10 charges and you got 2 years apiece for each charge, that's 20 years. A lot of prison sentences run concurrent. So really, all you would have to do is 2 years of that 20-year sentence, because they would all run together. Well, apparently in this case, that is not how it works. So this is some kind of new Colorado state law. I've also heard on another YouTuber's channel on here that the 4 people that passed away in the pileup were not due to the actual truck having the wreck in the pileup. And if you watch video on this, and from what I could tell, there was already a pileup. He just came up on it and ran into everybody sitting there. There was either a pileup or a stoppage in traffic, and he ran up on it. So, and I don't really see that being the case, because it's been damn near 3 years since this wreck has happened. You would think that that information would have been brought up in court, that those 4 deaths were not related to the actual wreck that this young man had. So I'm waiting to see a little more of that information on that aspect come out. Said, guys, we're just gonna have to wait till some more information comes out on that, if that was really the case about the other 4 people getting not being, being killed not because of the accident. So you can only trust so much of what you see out there. Going through downtown Amarillo here. Catch every light. But yeah, you can only believe what they say. Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see anymore. But as far as having a CDL, you know, that puts us on a different level. We're supposed to be professionals. We're supposed to act professional. We're supposed to be courteous. We are the professional drivers out here on the road. And, you know, before you take off in the morning, you're supposed to do a proper pre-trip. And, you know how to maintain your vehicle, maintain your truck, know how to maintain your speed. And a lot of that comes with training. So I really think in this guy's situation, being 23 years old, he was just too young and lack of training. He was probably at a beginner company that would hire you, you know, being that young, 23. He was barely old enough to even get on most people's insurance. I mean, most trucking companies' insurance won't put a driver on their insurance until they're at least 23 anyway. So that's you know, that right there was a red flag. And from what I've heard, the company had a lot of violations, safety violations as far as equipment failure, mechanical stuff, a lot of write-ups. So, you know, that can be taken into effect. And you don't really hear anybody saying anything, well, the company should be held liable, whatever. I guarantee that company got triggered for an audit after that. I mean, anytime there's a loss of life, for the most part, anybody you hear of in the trucking company, that will trigger an audit. They're going to, FMCSA is going to come in and audit you. So, so I almost probably guarantee that. Yeah, I was hoping y'all get to see some of the buildings and stuff in that dadgum container right here beside us. Anyway, I guarantee that triggered an audit. So, you know, it is what it is. I want to hear some Jake brakes. We're about to go under the train tracks. You know me, I got to play a little bit too. But, so I guarantee the company got hit with an audit, and who knows what's going to happen with that company. But, as far as the young man, 110 years, you know, he failed to use the runaway ramp. But who's to say when you're in that position, when you're, everything I read, he could not get the truck in gear, so he was just in neutral, coasting down the freaking pass. I guarantee he was shitting bricks. Shitting absolute bricks. So scared, he didn't know what the heck was going on. He might not even ever noticed the daggum runaway ramp. I know on the one video I seen when he was coming by the runaway ramp, it looked like he was also trying to dodge cars at the same time too. So he might not even seen it until it was too late. Now, I don't know how many of y'all have ever heard the story, heard the song from Red Sylvan of Phantom 309, but, you know, and none of us can say until we're put into that situation what we would actually do, but, you know, one life for 10, you know, one life for 20, one life for 4, you know, I mean, take your chances, put that sucker in the ditch, you know, shut it down, put it in the ditch. And, you know, he didn't know that there was a traffic jam at the bottom of that hill. He thought maybe he could get down to the bottom and coast it out. I'm sure he was freaking out. But, you know, you gotta do something to get that thing stopped. Hell, he's going around the sides of that mountain there, and some walls there on his left. He could have put that sucker up against them walls and used that dang canyon to slow you down, you know, or that canyon. I say canyon. We don't have no mountains out here, y'all. We got canyons. So when we go down a canyon wall, that mountain wall, to slow him down. All in all, it's just a bad deal all the way around. I think he should have got some time. I don't think he should have got as much as he did. I think the company should have been held accountable for more and been fined and whatnot. And you know, it's just a training deal. It's a training issue, is what it is. Lack of training, and that's it. After February 2022, they're coming out with new standards for training, and right now, it's too easy for anybody to get a CDL. You know, they hand them out like they're out of a Cracker Jack box. And anybody that's got a heartbeat can get in the truck and drive. Now, can they run that truck? No. Can they drive it? Yeah, they might be able to drive it until something like that happens. Or it's the same thing too. These newer generation of drivers do not think about, you know, I don't know how many times I'm sitting in a truck stop parking lot and I see a truck, and it's usually one of these starter companies, a Swift or a Prime or a CR England or whatever. Man, come through the parking lot running 50 miles an hour through the parking lot. Let's just say I had my little grandson with me, God forbid, and we was out there by the truck working on something, and he come running out. There's no way one of those trucks wouldn't be able to stop to miss a kid running out between the truck. Granted, not many kids have business being in the truck stop parking lot, but God forbid it ever did happen, they would not be able to stop running that fast through the freaking parking lot. And that's a big pet peeve of mine. Man, 5 miles an hour. That's all you need to do. You need to be in first gear, just creeping through a parking lot. That's as fast as you need to go. Of course, it's another one of them deals. The industry. I don't have the problem of watching that clock. We're ag exempt. We run paper laws. These are pre-ELD trucks, exempt trucks, and I don't have that little box just sitting there counting down in my face and telling me I got to stop when I got to stop or whatever. I can work my stuff around. So, but a lot of these guys can't, and they pay more attention to that damn box counting down. They got 12 seconds left to get in the spot that they're willing to run 50 miles an hour through a parking lot and risk running over somebody or running over another truck just so they can get parked and don't get a 2-minute violation. You know, it is what it is. Now, myself and a buddy of mine, Gary, were talking earlier about this, and we were talking about, you know, hitting the truck ramp, the runaway ramp, you know, and he was saying something about, well, you know, it's going to be the end of your career or whatever. You go down the truck ramp, and a lot of people think that way, and they think maybe they can. I really don't think it's the end of your career if you run up a truck ramp, a runaway ramp. Sometimes you might have an equipment failure, and it's not your fault. The damn equipment just failed you. That damn brake chamber just blow up on you. I've seen it happen, you know, and ain't nothing you can do about it. And when it blows up, you got to get somewhere. So, you know, if it's proven to be equipment failure, yeah, that company might fire you. But I don't think it's the end of your trucking career, per se. But the shit happens. Incidents are going to happen. I got told by a safety guy where I used to work one time. I messed up. I think I was probably about 26, 27 years old. I worked for the state of Texas, and I drove a truck. And I was coming out the back of a prison gate, and the inmates that let you out the back gate, they got some spikes that lay down there. And they lower them and raise them as you come in and out. Well, they forgot to lower them, and I wasn't paying no attention. I was talking to the guard. The gate rolled open, and they forgot to lower them, and I drove right through it, blew out both my steer tires on those spikes. And the safety guy came and looked around, and, you know, oh, it's just an accident. He looked at me square in the face, which any of you guys know safety, man. Golly, they're a different breed, for sure. He said, Mr. Lockhart, there's no such thing as an accident. Everything is an incident. Okay. So, stuck with me, that guy saying that. And, but, you know, it's just a different world we live in now. People are brought up different. Kids are brought up different. They don't think like the older generation of us do about consequences, and because there's no consequences held over anybody anymore. You know, back when I was a kid, my mom always said you're cruising for a bruising, you know, and if I messed up, yep, my ass got bruised. Boy, they take it to you. But I learned, you know, hey, don't do that no more. It's gonna hurt if you go do that, you know, and you know, I didn't raise my kids that way, you know, and my kids, for the most part, have come up all right, but they still do not come up the same way I do. They don't have the same respect for things like I do, and like my wife do. And it's just a different, it's a different time. And also with the so-called trucker shortage, you know, most of these trucks coming out these days are automatics. And a lot of your people go take a test in automatic, where you get that automatic exemption restriction, where that's all you can drive is an automatic. And the main reason they do that is because you just increased your labor pool by 100%. Because most people, if they have to drive a standard, you know, 10 speed, 13 speed, 10 speed, 13 speed, 15 speed, 18 speed, whatever, well, they would just have to go do something else because they can't drive a manual. And but now they come out with the automatics. That sure opened it up a lot more, and it opened up for a lot more careless folks, you know. Somebody that can drive a stick shift is generally a better driver than one that cannot. You know, they just, I don't know how to explain that, but in my opinion, somebody that can drive a stick is probably a better driver than one that can only drive an automatic. It's just a dexterity deal. It's a muscle memory deal. It's a being able to multitask deal. So I believe that wholeheartedly. But in the end, I feel bad for the guy. There's over 3 million signatures on change.org petition for the guy, so I hope he does get his sentence reduced. Maybe they can make some of that time run concurrently, and I think he does need a lesson taught, but I don't think he needs his whole life taken away from him. You know, I mean, it was an accident. Was it preventable? Yes, it was a preventable accident. But in the end, at the end of the day, you know, the company is responsible for the maintenance on that bill. You as a driver can only, most of your typical just average driver is only going to know so much about brakes. You know, they'll look under there. Is there air leaking? Do the shoes have enough? Do they not have enough wear on them? You know, things like that. They're not going to know how to get under there and check a slack adjuster, to check a stroke on a brake chamber. They do not teach you that stuff. They do not teach you that stuff in truck driving school. And I went through a FMCSA periodic maintenance and inspection class, a 40-hour class put on by the FMCSA back in, it was probably 2008, 2009, 10, let's see, probably about 2011. And in this class, you know, they taught us about doing roadside inspections and stuff. I was a mechanic, and what to look for, what DOT is going to look for on the roadside, you know. And unless you go through a class like that, or you are a certified mechanic, you're not going to know everything absolutely everything to look for. So you know, you just do your best. And we even, coming out of that class, they always told me, as a driver, you do not want to put pre-trip inspection on your logbook. Because if that word inspection in the court of law will get your ass. Because you just claim to pretty much if you're inspecting it, you just claim to be an expert. So they always told us to put pre-trip safety check, pre-trip check, not inspection. So, because you know how the court systems are, they're going to finagle it around to where it's your fault. It's your fault. Going back, I think the guy, he didn't have, he had no prior, like, speeding tickets, nothing like that. Passed all his drug and alcohol chemical tests. His logbook was straight. Everything was good, you know. And I guess the last thing I will kind of address talking about this is a lot of people are bringing the race card into this. Saying, you know, if he would have been a white guy, well, he wouldn't have got all that time, you know, and I have to beg to differ on that in this case. Now, don't get me wrong, I work for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice long enough to know that there is some discrimination on what color you are, on what kind of sentence you get. I seen guys in there that were Hispanic or black, have a DUI charge, second DUI charge, and have 20 years. And then I've seen a white guy with the same exact charge and have 2 years. You know, I've seen it. Same way with you might have a white guy. I've seen before where there's a white guy have 5 years for killing a guy. You know, for manslaughter or whatever. And then a guy get caught, Hispanic guy or whatever, get caught with some weed. A pretty substantial amount of weed, get 20 years for some weed, you know. It's crazy, you know. Our court system is not fair in that regard a lot of times. But in this case, if you follow it to the letter of the law with the new law that Colorado introduced, even the judge said that he would not have sentenced him to that many years. But the way the letter of the law read in this case, no matter who you were, that's what you were going to get. That's what you had to be charged with. The only way you could have got out with it is they acquitted you or found you not guilty. A jury found you not guilty. So, you know, so they can't really play that race card in this one. You know, there was some stories going around that he was Hispanic, he didn't speak English, he couldn't read the signs. Well, I heard the guy on the tape, you know, when he was pretty much begging for his life there, he spoke English just fine. So I know if he could speak it that well, he could read it. So that's just a lot of baloney going around too about him not being able to speak. A lot of hate on him for that, but that's just kind of what we deal with that. You know, a lot of times it's not even in the court system, it's not even a black, white, Hispanic thing. It's what kind of lawyer you can afford to defend you. You go get a public defender, most of the time you're going to have a shitty job of being represented. You got the money to go get a $50,000, $100,000 lawyer, you probably got a pretty good chance of being represented well and your sentence not being as bad. I mean, that's just, it's just like everything else in the world. It all comes back to money. And, you know, and that's the thing that eats me up about what's going on right now in the world. We're trying to be pitted against each other from every freaking angle when the ones that are doing the pitting on both sides, all they're looking to do is pad their pocket, put money in their pocket while taking away from the rest of us. That's all of us, black, brown, white, whatever. The hard-working American that's out here just trying to make a living. They're trying to pit us against each other. You know, I had an argument. You know, everybody knows, or most of y'all know, I'm married to a Hispanic lady. My wife is Hispanic. She's Mexican. And her uncle and I got into a pretty heated argument the other night, a month or two ago, after the Kyle Rittenhouse party, you know, and me and this guy were tight. This is my wife's uncle and her aunt. We go out and eat on Saturday nights almost on a basis, on a daily basis, weekend basis all the time. Go out to eat a steak or whatever. We hang out, you know, go to church together and everything else. But man, I never thought we would have gotten into an argument like that. And I haven't talked to him since. I haven't talked to him in down there a month and a half or whatever, however long it's been. And I get to thinking about it. You know, it's stupid that we were arguing about something that, and it's just what's going on right now. The powers that be are just trying to pit us against each other, trying to drive that stake in between, right in the middle of America, trying to split us up. And we need to resist that. We need to resist, fight that, and come together as a country. You know, this is the greatest country on the face of the earth, and we need to treat it that way. We don't need our freedoms taken away. But I never get off on a kick like that, guys. I don't. That's not what this channel is for. I just wanted to address the issue at hand with this young man, and hope. I hope that maybe they can reduce his sentence. I don't really think he should get off altogether. I think he should still do some time, but I don't think he should pay for it with his life. And hit me up in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. With that being said, we're gonna mosey on up here to Guyman. Get this load of fertilizer kicked off, and I'll get a little montage of unloading, and I'll come back and sign off, and we'll see y'all here in a minute. Alright guys, we just got unloaded. Get the second half of our load off here. Other load we unloaded down yonder about a quarter mile. While I was down there, I got to noticing a hint of antifreeze odor in the air. So yeah, so all that coolant. We got us a leak, a leaky deaky. And it's coming from this hose right here, down here by the clamp. Got a pinhole in it or something. It's leaking. Got over here, it wasn't leaking no more really. Probably done pulled all the coolant down out of the reservoir and got down below it. Luckily, I always carry some extra hose, and I actually measured this one for the top hose over there, and this one is a little bit longer, but it's a piece of pipe. It should be able to move up and down and make it work. This piece of hose will also work. No, it won't on the bottom. On the bottom's a little bigger one on the return. Down yonder, right there. And I actually have a piece of hose for that as well. So, get my handy dandy toolkit out. I don't have any extra coolant, but luckily we are where we are. And this is a water well right here, so I can get enough water to put back in the truck to get to town, and then we'll flush it out and put some coolant back in it. So I'm going to get this thing changed. I'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. And I know this ain't my normal type of video, and we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programs after this. That's just something that's big kind of into trucking news, and I felt like I needed to touch on it a little bit. So hope everybody's having a great day. Welcome to all our new subscribers, and all y'all that have been with us here Thanks for coming back, and thanks for hanging out with us. The channel is really growing. So without further ado, probably gonna make a video on how to replace this on the side of the road like this, and we'll catch y'all on the next. Keep the shiny side up, hammer down, support your veterans, law enforcement, first responders, and have a Merry Christmas from 806 driver family to yours. We're out.